Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Today is September 12th, 2023. It's Tuesday. We're here in the Larimer County Board of County Commissioners hearing room at the Larimer County Administrative Services Building in Fort Collins. We're here for our Administrative Matters agenda. I'd like to call this meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for joining me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Again, welcome. I am Larimer County Commissioner Jody Scheib-McNally, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners, and I welcome you to our Administrative Matters meeting today. Today is a special day. We have some proclamations and some highlights today. I am Jody Scheib-McNally, Chair of the Board, and I'm joined at the dais by my colleagues, Larimer County Commissioner Kristen Stevens and Larimer County Commissioner John Kafalis. Also helping us with our meeting today at the dais is our Clerk to the Board, Tessa Beatty. Good morning, Tessa. Our County Manager, Lorinda Volker. Michelle Bird is here from our Chief Information Officer, right? Is the Public Affairs. Yes, great. Thank you. Sometimes after all these, we've had a lot going on this weekend, and trying to remember everyone's titles is always, because I always overthink it, is a challenge sometimes. And then we have Sarah Martin from our Commissioner's Office, who helps with our meetings this morning and a bunch of other host of things. And thank you, Sarah. Good morning. So we will now move on to our public comment. First, I'll see if there's anyone in the room that would like to make public comment. Okay, so we do have one person signed up to make public comment. Do we have anybody? I don't think we received any emails or any other notices, so we will now call Mr. Sarner for public comment. Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning. Is this Mr. Sarner?
Yes, it is.
Hi, this is Larimer County Commissioner Jody Scheib-McNally, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. We're calling you because you've signed up for public comment. Would you please identify yourself, where you're from, and you'd have 3 minutes for public comment, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. This is Larry Sarner. I'm speaking on behalf of many suffering taxpayers in Loveland. I want to reply to your response to my public comments last week about the county's negotiations over its revenue-sharing subsidies with the brands out near the ranch and Centerra South, both land developments in Loveland. And also, also their objections to the use of the revenue increase that results from the reassessment to be used to provide those subsidies. First, let me take the last. According to the county assessor's August certifications of the values in Loveland, there should have been only an increase in revenues, according to Tabor, of just over 5%. However, you've got a huge revenue increase in dollar amount that's $48 million. So it's likely to become much more. And also, the same calculations apply to all the other 370 some taxing districts in Larimer County. So taxpayers in Larimer County will be paying a substantial amount, even with the numbers for the major taxing entities, the cities, towns, the county itself, and the school districts, it comes to $167 million of windfall amounts. Well, not all of it's windfall because the Tabor amounts need to be subtracted from that. But you've got lots of extra money coming in. Okay, you should be reducing your property tax rate, okay, for that. Instead, I think you're feeling free enough to go ahead and throw away subsidies to the Brands and Centerra South. And Centerra South is under a URA. I don't know under what basis you would possibly throw money at the Brands, at least legal basis.
Mr. Sarner, I apologize to interrupt you. You're over your 3-minute time. If you
Oh,
wouldn't
my.
mind making a one statement to wrap up your comments, you are out of time. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, I'll just leave it at that then. Sorry.
Thank you for your public comment. We appreciate your engagement. Okay. I don't have anyone else on my list. Do we have anyone else online or any things? And we had no response from the public. So in the audience, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. Colleagues, would you like to respond at all to the public comments today? Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. So there's, in negotiating in a URA, we are not throwing money at anyone's brand. So I want to, that's not true. We're negotiating in good faith as partners, as we're supposed to do in an urban renewal authority. So that, and it's not, and we're not taking any kind of windfall. In fact, if HH passes, we are definitely looking at a way to give a mill levy credit to residents in our community. So I think that there's some misinformation in Mr. Sarner's comments, and I just would say to folks that we are not kind of throwing away money or trying to support any particular developer, but that, like I said, we are negotiating in good faith with our partners in Loveland, and it has nothing to do with our philosophy necessarily on urban renewal authorities, and I know that's being debated hotly in Loveland. It has to do with the fact that this is under statute and we're required to participate as full members, and that's what we intend to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Cafals, would you like to respond, sir?
I don't have anything to add, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll just add that I kind of echo Commissioner Stevens' comments. We are not, I think there's a lot of misinformation there. I disagree with some of his comments. I would say that we are, as Commissioner Stevens stated, we are and have been, even before 303 was passed through the Senate or HH became to fruition, have always been talking about a tax mill levy credit for our residents. So certainly we are also with the URA, we are basically compelled by state statute to be partners in good faith, and so it's something that we are compelled and by state statute to do, or go into within negotiations. So I just feel it's a very complex issue, and I would ask people to make sure they're asking thorough and good questions and making sure they have accurate information as they're discussing this. So thank you very much for public comment and engaging in that. We'll now move on to approval of the minutes. Colleagues, did you have any additions or changes to the minutes? Thank you, Tessa and folks, for the job that you do on this. Any changes? Okay, so I will ask Commissioner Stevens to please make that motion.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the week of September 4th, 2023.
Thank you for that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 3-0. We'll now move on to our upcoming schedule review. Sarah, it seems like you just did this yesterday. It's been a really busy week. Thank you for reading through our schedule today.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for September 18th to the 23rd, 2023. On Monday, September 18th, from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., there will be a liquor license hearing for Horsetooth Store and Gas LLC in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a work session regarding Housing Authority's follow-up in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources, in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. On Tuesday, September 19th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Community Corrections Advisory Board meeting at 2307 Midpoint Drive in Fort Collins. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Larimer County Resilience Community Conversation at 201 Peterson Street in Fort Collins. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the LaPorte Planning Advisory Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be in the Lake Estes Conference Room on the third floor or virtually via Zoom. On Wednesday, September 20th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a budget retreat at the Horsetooth Area Information Center at 4200 West County Road 38E in Fort Collins. The 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. work session has been canceled. From 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., commissioners may attend the Veterans Together meeting. It's at the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., commissioners will attend the Water Education Series Session 2, Water Conservation and Sharing at the Larimer County Loveland Campus in the Big Thompson River Room at 200 Peridot Avenue in Loveland. On Thursday, September 21st, from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis may attend the Housing Catalyst Board of Commissioners. The location will be announced prior to the meeting. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Rural Action Caucus meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., there will be Common Grounds with Commissioner Shattuck McNally. It's an open topic of discussion. It'll be at Kind Coffee at 470 Elkhorn Avenue in Estes Park. From 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens and Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together ad hoc committee meeting. From 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Estes Valley Planning Advisory Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at the Estes Valley Community Center at 660 Community Drive in Estes Park, or virtually via Zoom. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Board of Health meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at the CSU Extension Conference Room at 1525 Blue Spruce Drive in Fort Collins, or virtually via Zoom. On Friday, September 22nd, from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual Colorado Department of Human Services Trails Executive Steering Committee meeting. From 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., commissioners will attend the Larimer County Behavioral Health Services Acute Care at the Longview Campus Celebration at 2260 West Trilby Road in Fort Collins. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., commissioners may participate in the Colorado Counties, Inc. All Steering Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at 800 Grant Street in Denver, or virtually via Zoom. On Saturday, September 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will host story time at the Farmers Market at 200 West Oak Street. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Hero Fest 2023 at the Front Range Village Shopping Center at 2720 Council Tree Avenue in Fort Collins. And from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Stevens may attend the Family Center / La Familia Fiesta Party at the Lyric Cinema Cafe at 1209 North College Avenue in Fort Collins.
Colleagues, do you have any changes or additions to the schedule? Commissioner Kafalis and then Stevens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thanks, Sarah. The only thing is, on that Saturday, I'm hoping to stop by the Hero Fest event at the Front Range Village. I'll probably be there from around 11 to 12 or so. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, I have a few things. So on Tuesday, I will probably potentially miss part of this meeting because I have been invited from CDOT to do a tour in Pueblo with the Federal Railroad Administration. So that'll be Tuesday afternoon from 2:45 to 5 o'clock. Then believe Commissioner Shattuck McNally and I are both signed up for the Lifesavers Gala that's sponsored by the Alliance for Suicide Prevention. That's on Thursday night, and I think that's 5:45 or
I think
something.
it was 5 o'clock
5 o'clock
to 7, I believe.
Okay, 5 to 7. And then I will also try to attend the Hero Fest on Saturday, September 23rd. And I may have let's see, sorry. That's all for now. If I have anything else, I'll talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a few changes. So on the 19th, I may barely stop by the Larimer Resiliency, but I might also go to the community meeting with Road and Bridge about, I forgot where it's at, but it's out, I think it's the birth of the land easement thing. That's that day. I'll try to get that information to you. On the 20th, I am, not the 20th, the 21st, I will be going to the Lifesavers Gala with Commissioner Stevens. And then I'm also going to be joining a climate speaking at Avogadro's number at 7:30 in Fort Collins. So I'm speaking at that, and that's at Avogadro's number at 7:30. And then on the 23rd, I am going to be at Hero Fest sometime during that time, but really also I'm going to start with, I haven't put this on the calendar. I don't know if I've got the invite and I didn't click on it, but we have the Loveland Urban Renewal Authority meeting that morning starting at 8 o'clock. And it's supposed to go to noon, but I was going to join that for a while, run and do the story time because that should be brief, and be virtual for that, and then go back to that later. So we don't know how long that meeting will last, but I had other things I needed to do. And then I will be going to the Hearts and Horses Gala that night, and that is at Embassy Suites, and I think that starts at 6. And then I'm also going to stop by the La Familia Lyric Seminar Party at 4 o'clock. It's going to be a busy day, so I need to add that one as well.
Thank you.
So that thing, just so you know, I'm going to stop by. So all three of us are going to be there at some time that day. But I won't be there for the whole time, but for most of the time. So, okay, I think that's it. Okay, so if anyone else has any other changes, we'll move on now to our consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of items of no perceived controversy, routine administrative actions such as abatement, agreements, deeds, final plats, liquor licenses, resolutions, and other matters that are matters previously reviewed by the Board of County Commissioners. And staff recommends approval of the consent agenda. A commissioner may request that an item be pulled off the agenda, considered separately, and items that are pulled off the agenda will be considered after the board takes action on the remainder of the consent agenda. For those in the audience, I'm going to read through quickly the consent agenda. If you wish to have more details on any of these items, all of our agendas and accompanying documents and more in-depth information about items on the consent agenda and anything on our agendas, our meetings, minutes, calendars, emails, all that's on the Board of County Commissioners website, and you're welcome to join that. So now I'll read through this. We have one abatement, a petition for abatement or refund of taxes submitted by Stonebox 22 LLLP. And then we have some agreements. One is the intergovernmental contract amendment number 3 between the Colorado Department of Early Childhood and Larimer County Department of Human Services to provide resources for providing safe and stable families program. And that is an important partnership in our community. Number 2 is we have an intergovernmental agreement for funding the Poudre River Trail, was submitted by Natural Resources and by Zach Wiebe, and this is for a partnership with Fort Collins, Timnath, Windsor, Larimer County secured a grant from Great Outdoors Colorado, or also known as GOCO, to fund portions of the construction of the Poudre River Trail. And so as the primary applicant, the county will be responsible for managing the grant and executing any necessary grant agreements. And so this is between Larimer County and the city of Fort Collins, and where this will be utilized. So this is, I think it's a very important project, and a lot of people are excited to see this to fruition. This next agreement is something I'm very excited about, and something that's really near and dear to my heart, but this is the grant agreement award for the American Rescue Plan Collaborative Projects Grant Sub-Award grant, and this is for the agreements to fund funds for the Mountain House for the operation of the youth shelter and drop-in shelter, the first of its kind in Larimer County. Very important. This will be renovated, constructed in Loveland, and this is a great partnership between the school districts, Larimer County, Mass Youth House, and other important partners. And thank you, Laura Walker, and the audience for helping shepherd this. This is something I'm very excited about, and something we've been talking about, working on for a couple of years now, so this is really, really, really exciting. Now we have some appointments. One is the recommended appointments to the Workforce Development Board. Thank you. There's a whole list of folks there. It's Eric Lee, Mark Kitchenson, Ann Hutchinson, Richard Martinez, Heather Lakechuk, Tracy Mead, Tiffany Link, and Julie Sela. And thank you all for your service. And we have recommended appointments to the Workforce, and those are reappointments. And then we have a recommended appointment to the Workforce Development Board of Colleen DePascal, and Emilian, and Janelle Highfill. Congratulations, and again, thanks for your service. We have letters of support. There's a capital project fund grant letters for letters of support for broadband grant applications submitted by Mark Fathinger, and these are really important. Letters of support for capital grant project funds in Larimer County for us to, for projects proposed by our collaborative, by Love and Pulse, Comcast, and Fort Collins Connection, and this is really important for us to get fiber to the premise and internet to underserved residents and unincorporated areas and other areas throughout the county. This is really exciting as well. We have liquor licenses. One is Hidden Lakes Golf and Trout Club LLC, or Golf Club at Fox Acres and Red Feathers. We have liquor license renewal for the Coleman Kessler Group LLC, or Ride a Cart and Cascade Creek Mini Golf in Estes Park. We have a liquor license renewal for Cherokee Park Dude Ranch LLC. That's in Livermore. We have a liquor license renewal for La Esperanza, or Hacienda Real, for Fort Collins. And we have a liquor license special event for the EVIX Family Resource Giddy Up at the Grove in Estes Park. And that's EVIX Family Resource Center is a very good group, important partner. Glad they're having a nice, fun, interesting event, Giddy Up at the Grove. We have several miscellaneous. We have two stipulations to his tax year value of 2021. That's the first four agreements of miscellaneous, or stipulation as to tax year 2021. Then we have a request. Number 5 is request for approval to enter upon lands submitted by our natural resources to enter lands to do weed mitigation, and those are all those. Then we have another request, 6, 7, 8, 9 are also requests beyond interlands for weed mitigation submitted by Natural Resources. And then we have one more, Nichols LLC stipulation as to tax year 2021. And then we have a, number 11 is a legal action requested for a new court case to be filed in district court regarding code compliance case number 16-CC0015. Colleagues, do you have any items that you wish to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, with that, I will ask Commissioner Kofalis to please make that motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda for September 12th, 2023.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that motion. Without any further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much. We have no guests today. We had some special guests last week. And now we'll move on to the first discussion item, which is a proclamation. Thank you, Code Compliance staff and to Community Development Director. We have a proclamation, which I'm very excited. We have some special guests in the audience. A proclamation declaring September 15th through October 15th, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Latine Month in Larimer County. And this is submitted by our county manager, and I will welcome up some guests to receive that proclamation. I would like to welcome up Caitlin Wyrick, the Executive Director from Heart and Soul, as we I think they were instrumental kind of helping us craft this last year and the year before. And I'm probably surprising you, didn't know you were coming, but I know you came here to receive it. But I thought since you guys are doing there's amazing celebrations in Fort Collins and Loveland the next month or so, and I thought maybe you'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Good morning. First off, I want to thank you for all the work you're doing in representing the county, and we're grateful to have you as a sponsor and supporting our events in Loveland and Northern Colorado. So I sent a formal invite to you earlier this week. We have our large event at the Foot Lagoon in downtown Loveland for our Latina Heritage celebration. It'll be from 2 to 6. We'll have traditional dance, music, poetry, and also local vendors that you can visit and learn more about and also support their business. And so we're grateful to host this event. We're expecting some fun activities and families. And so you are a huge part of that in sponsoring us and with your annual sponsorship. With that, we also will be having some other events throughout the community. I sent that information in the second poster, which will have some events where we're going to be at Loveland Ale Works, Backyard Tap, again, celebrating and educating the community on Latina Heritage Month. So.
Thank you.
The shirt I'm wearing is this year's shirt. If you know, we always have a fun shirt for the year that helps us fundraise as well. So if you're interested, this goes 100% back to all of our events. We are a volunteer organization, and so it all goes to hosting especially equitable events where all families can attend that are generally free. So, yeah.
Thank you, Caitlin, and I'm glad to hear about the new shirt. I have quite the collection from all the events you do. It's amazing. And I'm really excited about the young mariachi singer that's coming back from Thompson School District. I believe that was there last year, and so I'm looking forward to hearing that young man sing again. So that's wonderful. Did you bring a fellow person with you?
I did. I'd like to welcome Andrea Gutierrez. She's one of our Heart and Soul members as well. And come on up. You can come up. She's one of our new members, but we're really grateful to have her on board. She owns a local business and does a lot in the community. And so, did you want to
just want to say welcome and thank you.
That's okay.
Okay, great. Well, what we'll do is we'll have you stay there, and I'll have Commissioner Stevens read the proclamation and make the motion, and we'll make a few comments, and then we'll take a quick picture. And thank you for you both being here this morning to receive the proclamation.
Absolutely, so. We're honored. Thank you,
Commissioner Stevens. Would you mind reading the proclamation and then making the motion?
Find it in my packet.
Here you go. Would you like?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. So I'll read the proclamation declaring September 15th through October 15th, 2023 is Hispanic Heritage Latine Month in Larimer County. Whereas the celebration of Latine Heritage Month was established in 1968 to recognize and celebrate the traditions and culture of Latinas in the United States, the timing was selected because the anniversaries of independence for several Latin American countries are in mid-September. And whereas there are a variety of labels used to describe the population, we distinguish the community as Latine, a term inclusive of the entire population as well as being gender neutral. Hispanic defines the population with lineage from a Spanish-speaking nation. Latino identifies a community with ancestry from Latin America, excluding inhabitants from Spain, and is a gender-specific term. Latinx is a gender-neutral term but is not a Spanish word. And whereas the United States Census Bureau approximates the Latine population in the United States to be greater than 62 million people at 18.9%, locally Larimer County's Latine population constitutes just over 45,000 or 12.4%, thus the biggest racial or ethnic minority group in Larimer County. And whereas the Latine community has a centuries-long history of actively participating in the community, including as founders, teachers, doctors, farm workers, business owners, bankers, city staff, artists, soldiers, restaurant workers, colleagues, and friends, thus enormously enhancing the vitality, strength, and productivity of our county. And whereas Larimer County's Latine population have shown unyielding courage and resolute resilience to address prejudice and discrimination, they remove barriers through activism and advocacy and strive to achieve equity for all residents in Larimer County. And whereas, in accordance with the 2023 Hispanic Heritage Month nationwide theme, Prosperity, Power, and Progress, we ask Larimer County residents to recognize the significant achievements of the Hispanic community in the economic, political, and social growth of Larimer County. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County that September 15th through October 15th, 2023, be recognized as Latina Heritage Month in Larimer County, and Larimer County welcomes residents to participate in the schedule of activities to acknowledge and celebrate the contributions of Latinx to our lives throughout our county, state, and nation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Would you please make the motion, then we can have comments after that?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move to the proclamation declaring September 15th through October 15th, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Latine Month in Larimer County.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I think we'll now move on to some comments from the commissioners. But first, let me ask a quick question, Caitlin. I believe your family has been here for 7 generations in Larimer County, if not the Loveland area. Is that correct?
Yes. Over 100 years we've been a part of this community. Really proud to be a part of that and to see the community grow as well.
I think that's phenomenal. I don't know too many folks have been here for 7 generations or more. So
Thank you.
Thank you for your family's heritage and contributions to this wonderful county. Commissioner Stevens, would you like to start with your comments?
Yeah, just, want to thank Caitlin for being here from heart and soul, and just thank you for your leadership, not only for Hispanic and Latine Heritage Month, but also for all the cultural opportunities that you provide for the city of Loveland and for our county. Your leadership in this space is really important and valued. So thank you very much for doing that. I mean, she has a day job as well. She's, she's in the banking industry, and so she's a rock star in all the work that she does, but definitely an emerging leader in our community, and we're grateful for you bringing this forward to us and helping us craft the language around this and explaining why language is so important. But really to acknowledge that, a significant part of our population is Latine or Hispanic, and that the work they do in our community enhances our community and helps us thrive, and learning about other cultures and makes us better people and makes our lives more interesting and helps us build community. So thank you for doing all that.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. That means a lot.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Koufalis.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Gratitude to you and your heart and soul team for all the amazing work that you folks do to raise awareness and help us to better understand each other's different cultures, and very grateful for that. And we'll certainly strive to attend as many of the various events that are occurring throughout Larimer County, both down in Loveland and certainly up here in Fort Collins. Thank you both for your excellent work.
Thanks, Commissioner Koufalis.
First, just gratitude to you and
Andrea.
Andrea or
Andrea.
Andrea.
We have two. We have an Andrea and we have an Andrea. Yeah.
I have to just express my gratitude to Heart Soul, and there's many organizations in Fort Collins. There's a whole list.
I lost your mic, Commissioner. Sorry.
I guess you did. Thank you for being here. And I think of all the names of folks as we read the proclamation, people doing great work in Thompson School District, the city of Fort Collins. These are nonprofit organizations. I think about Patricia Miller and Alianza Norco and Isaac and all these amazing organizations doing great work that have stepped up as fantastic partners to Larimer County in so many ways. When last Christmas Eve, when we had some folks who were pretty much dropped in freezing temperatures in Colorado, Larimer County stepped up, and it was those organizations that stepped up to support the community and worked tirelessly over the holidays to support that. And there's businesses who donate and provide just wonderful food and experiences and music and culture and education. And I know you guys have had this place where people can make art or this headdress for the community, and you do a lot to elevate, you know, everyone's culture. I heard from folks who were at the Asian Pacific Islander event who said, I've never been able to celebrate my culture and my community before. This is so amazing to come out and meet others and feel like I belong here. And I heard that over the last few years of all the events, and even during this event, how people just feel that belonging, that safety, that inclusion, and we celebrate the diversity because it is very much, as I said, seventh generation. This is part of, you are Larimer County. This is a part of Larimer County. I also know you're the president of the Loveland Downtown Development Authority, and you I know you're doing a lot of work there to elevate businesses from folks, especially people of color and other folks. And you and I have done some work together to make sure they feel they are welcomed and belong in Larimer County. So I just wanted to say this proclamation is not just reading words. It is the actions that you guys do every month. It seems like you have something going on, and others throughout our whole community in Fort Collins and Wellington, and Estes Park has quite a bit going on now. Thank you to Jose up there and his group. And I just think it's heartening to know that our community is just such a vibrant, colorful fabric that has all these different individuals and organizations and cultures woven in, and it just makes Larimer County a stronger, united community, and I'm so grateful for the work that you do. So with that, Lorena, did you want to add anything to this, our wonderful guests and this great opportunity to celebrate this Heritage Month?
Just briefly, I want to say thank you for the way that you organize events, the way that you are open to all cultures, the way that you lift everyone up. I think it's notable that this year's theme is prosperity, power, and progress. I think you all live that every day. So thank you for coming to accept this proclamation on behalf of the month, the community, and all the folks you represent.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we'll take a quick moment to pause to have you accept the proclamation. So we'll pause for our televising. We'll be back momentarily. Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you. And my apologies and my excitement to take a photo to celebrate Latin Hispanic Heritage Month. We forgot we made the motion, but we did not vote. So now I will ask colleagues, after we made our comments, I apologize for not taking a vote on that. Do we have any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, so now we'll move on. We have officially proclaimed, declaring September 15th through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage and Latin Month in Larimer County. We'll now move on to our joint proclamation with the Board of Larimer County Commissioners and the Larimer County Board of Health, designated September 2023 as Suicide Prevention Month of Larimer County, and that is why I'm wearing purple today, in honor of Suicide Prevention Month, because my family has been impacted by suicide. But we have in front of us Director Tom Gonzalez from the Health Department, and welcome, Director. Would love to have you introduce this topic. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, and County Manager Volker. Tom Gonzalez, Public Health Director for Larimer County. On behalf of the Larimer County Board of Health and the Department of Health and Environment, I would like to thank you for issuing this joint proclamation to recognize September as Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County. The proclamation is about raising awareness that there is no one cause of suicide, but that mental and emotional health problems, substance misuse, and access to lethal means often play a role. We're here to remind residents that resources are available and that suicide is preventable. We know that the effect of that effective behavioral health care, connectiveness to supportive family and community, building resiliency, and being active in social groups and activities are protective factors against suicide. In fact, one of the 2024 Larimer County Community Health Improvement Plan priority areas focuses on increasing social support and connection for older adults, young, youth, female families, communities of color, or LGBTQIA, veterans, and persons living with disabilities. We're committed to working with our community towards zero lives lost to suicide in Larimer County. Today I'm joined with two of our passionate colleagues that work in this area all the time, and that's Emily Humphreys, the Larimer County Criminal Justice Director, and Scott Smith, the Executive Director of the Alliance for Suicide Prevention. I'm going to turn it over to Scott, and he'll make some remarks, and then we'll turn it over to Emily. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, commissioners, and everyone who's here. Like Tom said, my name is Scott Smith. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm the Executive Director at the Alliance for Suicide Prevention. I've been here for about 4.5 years, and on my walk over here this morning, I was reflecting on my first 6 to 9 months on the job, and I had moved here from another county on the Western Slope, and I was excited to move to a larger county and see what it might be like to practice some community organizing with some more resources. On my first day at work, I was given a laptop and put in a very small office in a basement, and there was one other part-time employee working at the Alliance at that time. And so for a day or two, I was a little unsure about what this work might look like in this county. But shortly after that, I was reaching out to different community leaders, government officials, other folks in the nonprofit sector, and community members. And I quickly was enthused and invigorated by the amount of connection and engagement that individuals and representatives in this community have. And over the next 6 months, we were able to accomplish a lot. We were able to hire 8 different staff members. We created a position for a Veterans Outreach Coordinator since they're higher at risk for suicide. We created a position for an LGBTQ plus coordinator because that population is also higher at risk for suicide. We also expanded our grief services because we know that part of prevention is actually postvention and supporting loved ones after they've lost someone to suicide. We created several other positions that were embedded within the schools, and none of this would have been possible without the generous and amazing collaboration of community members, nonprofit leaders, and officials in Larimer County. Oftentimes in prevention work, and especially in suicide prevention work, we don't get many opportunities to celebrate successes. And in fact, rarely do we see successes. But I would like to highlight that in Larimer County, from 2018 through 2022, we've seen a steady decline in the rate of suicide. totaling nearly 17%. I'm unaware of any other county in Colorado that has experienced this large and steady of a decline in the suicide rate, and it's really all due to the amazing engagement of community members and the willingness to try everything possible. So I just want to congratulate everyone in Larimer County, all the county officials, nonprofit leaders, representatives, because this really is a team effort. There's not one person or one agency that can prevent suicide. It really does take a community. I'd like to go.
No, I
Commissioner?
just want to thank you. Go ahead and invite, but thank you for your comments.
Of course. I'd like to welcome Emily Humphrey, Director of Community Justice Alternatives of Larimer County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity. Again, my name is Emily Humphrey, and I'm the Director of Community Justice Alternatives. I'm here on behalf of the Larimer County Juvenile Gun Safety Coalition, which again partners with Alliance for Suicide Prevention, Imagine Zero, and the Department of Health in suicide prevention. And Commissioner Shattuck McNally, you are not alone. I lost an aunt and a cousin to suicide. So it's incredibly important that we have tough conversations and we continue to have that education piece. When we created the Larimer County Juvenile Gun Safety Coalition, it was focused on safe gun storage and responsible gun ownership and keeping our kids safe, but we realized very quickly that there was an element of suicide in regards to children having access to guns and making life-changing decisions. And I know that our campaign has been out there for a number of years, but I encourage folks that are watching to go back on Larimer County's website to the Juvenile Gun Safety Coalition to our It Only Takes a Moment campaign. That It Only Takes a Moment campaign really focuses on teen mental health and having tough discussions, but also looking at it that it only takes a moment for a child to make a life-changing decision, to it may be a temporary problem that they could get assistance from, and it only takes a moment for a responsible gun owner to lock up their guns to prevent that fleeting moment by that child in crisis. We are honored to be here on behalf of Larimer County Juvenile Gun Safety Coalition to be with the Department of Health and Scott Smith and his folks to really support that prevention and that education piece for Suicide Prevention Month. So thank you for this opportunity. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Emily. And thank you to all for your comments today. Very moving and very important topic as we recognize, and I would say celebrate, but we recognize and reflect on the importance of this awareness month. So with that, I will have us once again, read the joint proclamation and make, I don't see a motion, read it and then make a motion to, and then we'll make our comments and then we'll pause again for a moment. So I will ask Commissioner Gonzalez to read that joint proclamation and make the motion, sir. Thank you.
Joint Proclamation, Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County and the Larimer County Board of Health, designating September 2023 as Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County. Excuse me. Whereas the month of September 2023 is National Suicide Prevention Month, a time in which individuals, organizations, and communities around the country join their voices to amplify the message that suicide can be prevented. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County and the Larimer County Board of Health have a joint interest in the prevention of suicide and in Larimer County and elsewhere. And whereas the Alliance for Suicide Prevention of Larimer County, the Larimer County Juvenile Gun Safety Coalition, and Larimer County's Departments of Community Justice Alternatives and Behavioral Health Services work to prevent suicide in our county, whereas many people in Larimer County are faced with stressful life events, prolonged stress, substance use disorders, and mental health conditions. And whereas good mental health is a critical part of overall health and is essential at every stage of life. And whereas having access to lethal means, such as firearms, increases the risk of suicide, and residents can help by keeping firearms safely stored and locked. And whereas statistically, in Larimer County, a suicide occurs every 4 to 5 days and is the second leading cause of youth deaths. And whereas knowing the signs of suicide and finding the words to communicate with someone in addition to reaching out to local resources can help prevent a suicide, and whereas all residents of Larimer County have access to free suicide prevention training so they are equipped with knowledge of the signs of suicide, the appropriate language to communicate with someone, and the local resources to refer that person so that lives are saved. And whereas grief following a suicide is often a complex and overwhelming experience, and support is available. And whereas effective behavioral health care, connectedness to support a family, and community building, resiliency, and being active in social groups and activities are protective factors against suicide. And whereas a 2024 Larimer County Community Health Improvement Plan priority area focuses on increasing social support and connection for older adults, youth, families, communities of color, LGBTQIA, veterans, and persons living with disabilities, with an emphasis on equity. And whereas all Larimer County residents are urged to play a role in suicide prevention and in promoting mental health and wellness as we strive towards zero suicides. And whereas September is recognized across the U.S. as Suicide Prevention Month, which provides the opportunity to educate the community about the warning signs for suicide and how to reach out and connect to those experiencing an emotional crisis or loss, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Larimer County Board of Health and the members of the Larimer County Board of Commissioners that September 2023 be declared Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County. Done this 21st day of September. Yes, this will be done on Thursday by the Board of Health, and done this 12th of September 2023 in Fort Collins by the Board of Commissioners. Thank you for listening. The motion is, I move to approve the joint proclamation declaring September 2023 as Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County.
Thank you, Commissioner, for reading that proclamation and making the motion. We will now make some comments, and we'll start with you, Commissioner.
As before, gratitude to all the work that's being done, to the partnerships. I'm delighted to hear the data point that from 2018 to 2022, we've actually, working together, we've made a difference in lowering the rate of suicides by 17%. I think that's something we should be letting the whole world know. So hopefully we can continue to spread that word. So thank you to the Alliance for Suicide Prevention. I'm certainly very grateful for our community justice alternatives folks, Emily and her team. It's great that our Youth Firearms Coalition, the Safety Coalition, is an example of addressing death by firearms in a nonpartisan way, where folks can agree that it makes sense to inform people, and I think even our firearms dealers are involved, and we've put out all kinds of great videos and public information, and of course to our public health department, health and environment, a lot of tremendous work being done on many levels, recognizing that gun violence is a public health issue, and certainly our community health improvement plan is a really important document that lays out a framework. And thanks to our service area, economic and human health, kind of putting all this together with behavioral health services. So I think that's that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Tom and Scott and Emily, for the work that you're doing. Certainly, suicide is something that I think has touched many people's lives, probably almost everyone in the room, and has an experience with a family or friend or loved one that has attempted or committed suicide. And so, it's something that I think Commissioner Kofalis is rightly. I could hear in your voice in reading the proclamation that this is a hard topic for us all to address. And so just wanted to say a couple things. Last month I attended the Question, Persuade, and Refer program. So that's a QPR program that Alliance for Suicide puts on. So if you go to their website and you're looking for trainings, you can go online, and it's an hour and a half. And I did it on Zoom, and it just gives you some instruction on how to broach the subject with people. So if you're seeing someone that is seems to be struggling or suffering in some way, that how do you ask the question? Hey, you seem like you're sad. Are you thinking about suicide? Is that something that you're considering? Because I'd really like to talk to you about that. And then the persuade part is talking to people about getting help and what it looks like, and talking to them about their value, and then referring them to services in the community that will help. And it's a very simple program. It's very easy to go through the training, but so valuable, and you feel just so empowered by doing it. And it actually is the equivalent of getting sort of a first aid, a Red Cross kind of first aid degree in suicide prevention. And so I found it really valuable. It's probably something I'll kind of keep, at least referring to the materials to remind myself how to have those conversations. But I would just recommend that to everyone. And then secondly, just really wanted to talk about, we talked about some of the reasons that people, would consider suicide. And we talked a lot about mental health and addiction. One of the things that we don't often talk about, and I actually had this conversation with Dr. Leslie Brooks at the Fight the Stigma event this weekend, is, the despair that comes from extreme poverty and racism and discrimination is something that we don't always address. We always say mental health, but why did that happen in the first place? And who's more vulnerable to that? Oftentimes it's people who are living in the margins of our society that not only don't find a place for themselves with the belonging thing, but really feel a sense of despair about their life situation. And so I do want to acknowledge Laura Walker, who's here as well, because I think that there's so much interconnection in the work that we do, and the work that we do in human services, the work that we do in community corrections around building people up and building resiliency and getting food assistance and work assistance to folks, and really addressing poverty and addressing affordable housing, because those things can create a situation where people feel that extreme despair. And so I really think that as we talk about the work that we're doing, yes, we need to promote mental health awareness, and yes, we need to, work on gun safety, but we also need to think about the broader context of the work that we do. And I think that some of the work that we're doing in human services is so vital to making people feel like they can make it in our society. And it's really interesting to me that our next item will be talking to the Colorado Poverty Law Project about evictions, because we have maybe an average of 4 or 5 evictions a day in our community, and we had eviction protection for a while, and it's going away. And so that's the kind of despair I'm talking about. When you lose your home and you don't know how you can feed your kids, that kind of despair can wreak havoc in our community. And so I guess as we consider all the things that we do to prevent suicide, I want us to kind of encompass that poverty piece of, how much economic despair are you experiencing in your life that would make you maybe consider that as an alternative as well. And so thank you for everyone who's doing that work to combat both mental health issues, but also really poverty in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. And thank you for your comments. I was actually thinking about the same thing. I also was at the Fight the Stigma event. We all were asked to speak this weekend, and it was really well done. There was lots of little videos playing inside the lyric, and so you could go watch the movie. So my husband and I thought we were leaving. We ended up going in there and watching this long movie, and Scott was featured, and Dr. Tom Gonzalez was featured, and all of us had a brief moment to speak on that. And Dr. Leslie Brooks did speak about that in that movie, and I thought it was really well done and a great point. We have a lot in our community that live in situations that might feel a little hopeless, or they don't feel connected, or like no one cares. And sometimes when I've been out in the community and talked to single moms who are working 2 jobs and trying to keep their kids going to school and worrying about what's going to be on the dinner table that night, and they've got to help with homework and get the laundry done, or we feel very hopeless at sometimes. And I think that we need to remind ourselves that this work is comprehensive and intersects everything we do here at the county, I believe. And it's really important that we do think about all those things and factors. For me, I talk about my family being impacted because I try to reduce the stigma, and I appreciate that opportunity to speak about it because I know I have some family members who can't, and they thank me for speaking about it. And they tell me all the time, thank you for speaking for us, and because they just can't. And it is hard, and I'm going to try to hold it together here today. But I wanted to reach out to those folks who are family members who are impacted. It's not your fault. And to know that there's help out there, too, to get help and talk to folks. Last night I was at the 9/11 event in Loveland, and it was the VFW put that on along with the Loveland Fire Rescue Authority, and Sheriff Fan spoke, and he did a really great job. But before, the gentleman from the VFW said a number that was stunning, that I had thought about, and I looked it up to make I'm sure it was an accurate number, but I wanted to look more into it. But he had said in 2021, the research had found since 9/11, there have been almost 31,000 suicides from veterans who served in the military after 9/11. That's a stunning number to think about. I know there's a lot of active personnel, a lot of veterans, but that's a lot. And so I was thinking about those. And compared to active service members who are killed in combat, that's almost almost 4 times or more 4 times. And so that's something to think about. And also thinking about our first responders who in this county go through a lot of trauma between fire and floods, and a lot of things are happening, and those folks also have a higher rate. And we have our LGBTQ plus IA group that our youth, we know with our youth mental health task force with the school districts, that is a very concerning numbers for that community. We need our youth to feel safe and belonging and protective, and that they're enough. And that's important to get that message out. As I was thinking about this proclamation today and wore my purple and thinking about the things that we do here in this county, appreciate you bringing the number, Sky. I was going to share that number, but we all share in that number because this takes a whole community, takes a village, a community. And this is not overnight. The work from Emily and Tom Gonzalez and Alliance for Suicide Prevention and Behavioral Health Services, and Laura Walker, and the whole county, and our actions to pass, and the voters of Larimer County passed this behavioral health tax. And we have put money into the community, and that is action. And that action takes a while to take that number down, and it's showing it's working. And I think it's interesting and really appropriate we're having this proclamation today, as next week we're going to cut the ribbon during this month of our crisis stabilization unit at Longview campus. And we thank our partners who will be providing those services inside our Summit Stone Health Partners. But, the theme, and the reason I bring that up is because we have a sculpture in the front that means a lot to me. And the theme for, this World Health Organization and the international theme for Suicide Prevention Month is creating hope through action. And I was thinking about, we talk about hope and belonging and helping others in our community, no matter their status, their circumstances, where they live, who they love, how they work, what they do. Everyone deserves to feel hopeful and have clean air and water and a good place to live and feel they belong here. And to me, we're creating hope through action as a community and through the county, through this behavioral health tax, as we increase resources to our partners throughout the county, including the Alliance for Suicide Prevention, to get access and resources and to get folks help. And I think about our partnership where I did also the QPR training, where we did that in May around the community. And that 81-year-old that showed up from Estes, who has family members that he's so concerned about, but he's willing to come and get trained how to use Narcan and do QPR training. And he left empowered with his mind changed and feeling like he could go save a life. So anyone, whether you're 81 or 8, can do this and help save a life. And I think that is hope through action. And as we cut that ribbon and we have all these programs and we open that crisis stabilization, we are actually doing hope through action, and that statue up front is about the journey and the journey to hope and safety and belonging and health. And so I think it's really not just talking about it, but we're actually doing it through action here in Larimer County, creating hope, connectedness, and there's a lot to celebrate with that, but it's really important that we take a moment and recognize we're still in a crisis here in our country and our communities, and this is one step, but it's a big step, and I hope everyone feels that hope as I do. So with that, thank you all for being here today. Scott, Emily, and Tom, thanks for your words. Very well said, and I look forward to taking a picture with you and seeing you all next week as we cut that ribbon and celebrate the opening of that center. It couldn't come soon enough for me. And with that, colleagues, if any other, Lorenda, would you like to say something? Sorry, I'm trying to hold it together because this is very emotional for me as well.
This is a very emotional proclamation. We do it every year, and we all have a story. Suicide is both deeply personal and a community concern. And so I guess just a thank you to all the groups that knit together the services that we have, the support for our community, the idea that we should talk about suicide. We should not hide it. We should try to prevent it. We should create opportunities to normalize these conversations where we check in on each other. That's important work that you all do every day, and it's very much appreciated on behalf of the community.
Thank you, Lorenda. And also to all the people with lived experience that serve on our boards and commissions, especially the Behavioral Health Policy Council, the Consumer Advocacy Group, and also people who lived with lived experience that serve on our Regional Appointment Council and throughout all our boards and commissions. Know how much you are valued and your input is really important, and want to thank you for your service because you are helping in so many ways that are just immeasurable. So with that, all those in favor of the proclamation, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's take a moment to take a photo and to hand off the proclamation to take to the Board of Health. Thank you. We will return momentarily. Welcome back, and thank you for giving us a moment to take a brief photo to celebrate and to approve the joint proclamation declaring September 2023 as Suicide Prevention Month in Larimer County. Along with our Board of Health, we'll be signing a joint proclamation. So now we'll move on. We have two more items on our discussion agenda, and the first is a report on a grant project implemented by the Colorado Poverty Law Project, funded by Larimer County Immediate Needs Grant Program. And here we are. This program was put together and executed with absolute expertise and great work by Laura Walker and our Josh Fudge, who stands here in front of us, from the Performance Budget and Strategies Director. And just want to say thank you both. We're really glad that we can bring these folks in and celebrate the good work of our taxpayers' money going in for immediate needs grants. And it's great that we can share with the public how well their taxpayer money was used to help our community. So Josh, I'll turn this over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Once again, Josh Fudge, Director of Performance, Budget, and Strategy. Continuing our series celebrating, as you mentioned, the immediate needs grants that were provided through the American Rescue Plan Act. The first one up today is the Colorado Poverty Law Center, which provides mainly eviction prevention and other legal services related to housing for low-income people here in Larimer County. As we've talked about before, housing was a particularly acute issue both during the pandemic and certainly afterwards, making sure that people can stay in their homes and things of that nature. And it relates to the previous item that you just discussed too. So with that, I will turn it over to Erica Welsh.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh. Let's see if I can. Y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Thank you so much, Josh, and thank you, commissioners, for having me today. Excuse me. My name is Erica Welsh. I'm a staff attorney at the Colorado Poverty Law Project, and as of about last week, I began becoming the point person for our work here in Larimer County. And I'm also here with my colleague, Katia Castro-Gonzalez, in the corner there. Katia is not new to Larimer County. She's been our community navigator for this program in Larimer County since it started. So I'm happy to be here today to talk to you about a little bit about what we do and how the Immediate Needs Grant helped us do that work in 2022. Next slide, please. So our mission at CPLP is to prevent homelessness through legal representation, education, and advocacy. And we do that because we believe that no one should become homeless for lack of access to housing justice. Next slide. So this is just a little snapshot of what we do, the services we provide. I mentioned in the last slide that we provide legal representation, education, and advocacy. So these programs kind of fill those areas. We provide individual legal support to tenants throughout Colorado. We provide community education to tenants, to service providers, to other attorneys. And we do policy advocacy at the Colorado legislature as well. And then more recently provide housing navigation support to tenants in Adams and in Denver. And then we have a few initiatives that serve specific communities. So of course, our initiative here in Larimer County, we also have an initiative for residents of, excuse me, mobile home parks, of which there are quite a few here. We have our Young Adult Initiative, which targets tenants ages 18 to 28, and then also our Fair Housing Initiative focused in Adams County. Next slide, please. So just going to say a little bit more about each of those service areas to give you guys a little bit more of a detailed picture of what we do. So legal support can look like a number of different things. It can look like providing information to a tenant who perhaps has not even started in the eviction process. It can look like engaging with a tenant to talk to a landlord on that tenant's behalf. Or it can look like what we call full representation, which means kind of the whole kit and caboodle, providing legal representation to tenants in court. And then lastly, this year we've started doing a weekly legal clinic at the Denver County Court on Thursdays and Fridays in person. Next slide, please. So community education is another service that we offer, and we do a lot of that here in Larimer County. That looks like doing what we call Know Your Rights presentations on pretty much any area of a landlord-tenant law that exists. We do that for tenants so they know what their rights are. We do them for service providers so they can serve their clients. And we do those for other attorneys so that they can also help in these efforts as well. And that's continuing legal education. That's what I'm referring to there. Next slide, please. And then lastly, policy advocacy. Spoke about this a little bit earlier, but we advocate at the state and local level to increase protections for tenants. So we had a very successful legislative session in 2023. We collaborate with other service providers to draft these bills and to work with our partners in the House and the Senate to hopefully pass those bills. And then we provide a yearly policy update so that everyone can know what the new laws are and how to be in compliance with them and how to assert their rights. Next slide, please. So in Larimer County, that looks like a couple of different things. We do all of those things in Larimer County. We provide legal support and representation in all aspects of this area of law. We do a ton of community engagement and education. Our mobile home initiative is pretty active here in the county as we have several mobile home parks. And then lastly, we try to fill the gap in legal services. So Colorado Legal Services, probably the largest legal services provider in the state. They do have some restrictions on who they can serve, specifically related to immigration status and income. We don't have all of those restrictions, so we're able to kind of come in where they aren't able to help a tenant. Next slide, please. So I'm here today to talk about specifically this grant, the 2022 Immediate Needs Grant that we received, and how that helped us to do our work. So we exhausted those funds on October 31st of 2022. And with those funds, we were able to provide legal support to 114 unduplicated households. And that served 263 individuals within those households. 39 self-reported as having a disability. 22 of those tenants were Spanish speaking, and 44 were mobile home park residents. 532 residents attended educational programs or legal clinics here in Larimer County. And then 35 applicants were referred outside of CPLP. So 12 of those were due to our own capacity restrictions, and then 23 were due to priority or eligibility, meaning that they were not eligible for our services, or they were outside of our housing wheelhouse, so to speak. Next slide. And then these are just some numbers from 2023 so far to give you all an idea of how the numbers in Colorado and in this county are really increasing at a pretty fast clip. So we're seeing a tenfold increase in applications from Larimer County from 2022 to 2023. So far, and this is just from January to April, so the first 4 months of the year, we've served 53 households with legal services. 355 individuals have already attended educational clinics. And we were able to serve 94% of applicants that came to us. Only 6% were those that we had to refer out. So we're already seeing that we're on track to probably surpass the numbers that we served in 2022.
Wow.
Next slide. So here I just wanted to provide some information. As I mentioned, I'm pretty new to this role. You may be more familiar with my colleague, who unfortunately just departed CPLP, but she's done some great work here. My name is Erica Welsh, and my email is right there. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time with any questions. I mentioned my colleague here, Katya. That's her email. And then David Villo is our mobile home initiative attorney. So he does a lot of work here as well and is always a good person to know. So I wanted to just provide our contact information. And I believe that might be all of the content, but I'm happy to answer any questions from the commissioners.
Thank you so much for a great presentation. And staff, do we have this slide presentation in our notes, or did we get a copy of it? I would love to make sure we get a copy of it.
We can get you a copy of it.
That would be great. Thank you. Fantastic presentation. I have some questions, but I'll start with Commissioner Stevens first. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. Well, as I stated earlier, in this meeting. I think the work that you're doing is so important, so thank you very much. Eviction is an ugly thing, and it displaces families. And so, I think there's millions of evictions every year, probably more, tens of millions. I don't know how many, but the work you're doing is really important, so I'm very appreciative, and letting people know their rights, honestly, because I think that the education piece is huge. I have a question about the policy advocacy piece. So there were a lot of bills that were kind of flying through the legislature, and it was a little hard to keep track. So did any of the bills preventing evictions or at least slowing evictions pass through?
Yes, Commissioner Stevens, thank you for that question. They did, fortunately, quite a few, and so many, in fact, that I probably will miss a few in answering your question, but I'll try to cover as many as I recall. So one bill that we were heavily involved with allows tenants to participate in evictions remotely, which is really critical because a lot of tenants are not able to attend court in person, leading to an automatic default judgment. So this is going to be really crucial to tenants, particularly those who are not able to have transportation and childcare. Another bill passed that caps security deposits at 2 times the rent, and also provided some protections for tenants who have a subsidy. Oftentimes there's an issue where tenants have to prove that they earn 3, 4, or 5 times the rent in order to be a successful applicant. That caps it to 2 times the rent, which makes much more housing, which allows tenants to be more eligible for more housing, and then also protects tenants with a housing subsidy from having that criteria at all. There was another bill that passed that is going to make leases much more what we would consider lawful for tenants. So many leases have hidden fees and also require a tenant to waive certain rights, like the right to a jury or to participate in a class action lawsuit. Those lease clauses are going to be unlawful now. There was some reform around pet deposits, which is really going to impact tenants who have pets. And then there was a bill that passed that requires landlords to have a mediation with any tenant who receives certain public benefits, SSI, SSDI, and TANF, before even starting a case, and then also provides that tenant 30 days instead of 10 days to move out before an eviction will actually be executed, which will have an impact specifically on tenants with disabilities or who are on the lower end of the income scale. That's just a few. I know I'm missing some, but it was a successful session.
That's okay, and I'm sure I can look it up. I just figured they would be fresh in your mind. Are you anticipating anything to come up in this upcoming session, that anything else around eviction or tenant rights?
We are, yes.
Okay.
So we have our deputy executive director, Jack Reagan-Bogan. He handles all of our policy, our area of policy every year, and every year he's got something to do, and so he is, there are some things in the works. It's in the very nascent stage now because we have several months until the session begins. So things are still kind of in the drafting phase, and we're still talking. But this is a year-round thing. So kind of the neat thing about CPLP is that the staff attorneys who are seeing what's happening on the ground can inform our policy recommendations, and then we see that policy directly impact our clients. So all year round, we're talking about policy, we're thinking about policy, and we do have plans for this year as well.
Well, I appreciate it, and I know you weren't here to talk about policy. You were more here to talk about what you did with the funds, and just thank you for the work that you did with the funds that we gave you, the ARPA dollars. Certainly, money well spent. And as we think about this in the larger perspective, I guess that's why I'm asking about the policy piece. Is that the idea would be to have policies in place that your work wouldn't be so difficult. You wouldn't have as many clients. You wouldn't have as much need. You could move on to other things. And so, I think that the policy piece is crucial, that we get some of that right. So, be in touch about anything that we can sort of help with, or things that you identify that, in our community that would be helpful. I certainly would like a heads up on those kind of things, because we definitely want to support that. Like I said, you know, preventing evictions is really important. And as we continue to deal with homelessness and people living in difficult situations, and you know, this work is just really, really crucial. So very supportive. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Josh for, you know, I think that this is an important story to tell, that we, you know, that we kept people in their homes during a difficult time. And so happy to support your work in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. I don't have any questions. Just want to say thank you for having a presence in Larimer County. Thanks for the work of the Colorado Poverty Law Project. And in particular, I was grateful that Debbie and I don't know who the other attorney was that came out to Sunflower Community a couple of weeks ago to present Know Your Rights. We had about 55 or so folks who were very interested in understanding their lease better. And so that was a great resource, and I'm glad you folks have a presence here.
Thanks, Commissioner. I'll pass that along to my colleagues that it was
Who was
a
the
successful
other
event.
attorney? It wasn't David, it was somebody else?
Was it David?
It was David? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Erica, for being here today. It's so exciting for the presentation. It sounds like you guys went way above and beyond and stretched this immediate needs grant to the ultimate, to be able to serve so many families. It sounds like it's just amazing what you're able to do with that. And if your numbers are already higher, than 2022, that's just amazing. And I was wondering how folks can learn about you, so in case they wanted to keep contributing and supporting this work, because it is critical. This needs not going away. If anything, it's growing. And how can folks learn about how to support you, or what are your needs, and how does this work continue? Because it doesn't just magically happen.
Yeah, that's right. Would it just magically happen? So we have hired a development director who's been on board for about 1.5 years now, and she's been really helpful. Obviously, we didn't have anyone who was spending all of their time dedicating themselves to grants, to social media, to making sure people know who we are. So she's been doing that work, and she's been doing a great job. So we do have more of a presence on social media where we share about our work, and then also she does there's a big holiday giving campaign that's going to kick off here in the next few months. So that's huge in getting donations outside of our regular grant funding partners, like the City of Fort Collins, which we certainly appreciate as well. And then I think, probably our biggest need that we're hoping to fill is that we do have grant funding for the City of Fort Collins for Poudre School District, but there's such a great need outside of the city in the entire county, and so we just really want to make sure that we have the ability to stretch our assistance as far and wide as we can. So that's something that we're that we're certainly taking a look at. And then I think in terms of so certainly we want to get our name out there so that we can grow financially, but also we want tenants to know about us and to know that we exist. And that's the huge thing, because as Commissioner Stevens mentioned, if we can do prevention and let tenants know what their rights are ahead of time, it can really help someone sort of to divert from that process. So our name is included in some court packets that tenants receive, unfortunately, once they're already in the eviction process. But we have great community partners here that Katya works with every day, who tries to let tenants know that we exist. So certainly, if you're ever in a space talking to tenants, please let them know about us. We want to make sure we can connect with them as early as possible.
That's great. And so certainly Colorado Gives Day would be something to look down the list and consider you and your organization and the work that you do, because it is, as Commissioner Stevens said, critical. It is. I don't think people understand how crucial, important your work is for people to know their rights, but keeping people housed, especially after a pandemic. And we had all those grants, and Laura Walker was very instrumental in getting a lot of those grants. I think it was 17 million, Laura, that we put into rental assistance for that period, and it was about 20 actually. 20 million, and that still didn't even touch the need in our community. But it kept people housed, especially our veterans and our children, because having homelessness or housing instability and those conditions for children, and it adds to their adverse childhood experiences scores, leads to a lot of struggles for children and families in education. I'm really glad to hear about your partnership with the Poudre School District, and keeping folks housed is so important for just health and mental well-being and all the things we talked about before. It's huge and it's critical. And having safe housing is important as well, and that's part of the work that I know you do. And helping people know their rights, because a lot of people live in fear of losing housing and may not know they have these rights. And I'm hoping there are some programs too to reach out to students, because I know there's seems to be with college students who are trying to cram in, they may not know all their rights and might feel pressure to sign leases early when maybe they have an opportunity to understand that they have some rights with that. So I want to just thank you for being here today. Thank you for the work that you do. This is certainly a very exciting, and I'm really proud that we are able to support your work with this immediate needs grant. It certainly was well invested taxpayer money, and I don't think folks understand how immeasurable that money was in the work that you did. It's probably ongoing, and I hope that we can help educate all folks who are renters or in situations like this. They understand their rights, and so I'm just really great for both of you to be here today and your team. So just my heartfelt gratitude. It's just, what else can I say? It's just thank you. I want to see if Lorena has some words to say, and then, like all the things we've done before, we've been putting this and telling this story on the website so people can understand where their taxpayer money went through the American Rescue Plan. We'll take a brief moment, take a picture, but Lorena, would you mind sharing some words too?
Sure. This is a great opportunity to highlight the work that the Colorado Law Project does. And specifically, you all stepped up and saw a need during the pandemic to do eviction prevention, beyond just paying bills, but also talking to people about what their rights are and continuing that education. This was a grant program, and so organizations had to have a program, a need they identified, and apply for these funds. And so this wasn't something that we went to you. You came to us with a program that was unique and wasn't offered through anywhere else. And so thank you for that work, for the support of the community, the work you continue to do every day, and welcome to Larimer County.
Thank you.
Yes, I think that's a great point, Lorenda, that you guys came to us, and this, no one really is doing this education and support. So with that, we'll take a brief moment to take a quick photo, and then we'll go on. We have one other group we'd like to have a report on. So we'll pause just momentarily. Please be patient, and we'll be right back. Take a brief moment to just celebrate with the Colorado Poverty Law Project, and thank you to Erica and Katia for being here today and celebrating the work that they did with Immediate Needs Grant. And now we're on to our last item, and another report on a grant project implemented by the Respite Care Incorporated, which was also funded by our Larimer County Immediate Needs Grant Program. And once again, Josh Fudge.
Thank you, Commissioner. So this is the second of our celebrations of an immediate needs grantee today. Respite Care Inc. is a nonprofit here in Larimer County that provides services to children with developmental disabilities, especially respite opportunities for their parents. Like another previous project, they also had to implement cohorting during the pandemic to obviously prevent the spread of COVID and keep the children that they serve safe. And so that put a tremendous strain on their ability to staff and fund their operations at that time. So with that, I will turn it over to Christy Briles.
Welcome, Christy. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, Jody's my
Thank you.
neighbor. So good morning. My name's Christy Briles. Thanks for having me. It's been really interesting to listen to how much Larimer County and everyone supports our community and our nonprofit, all of the nonprofits we have in Larimer County. So it's good to hear. So I did prepare some slides. So if you go to the next one. So that is our mission statement. We are serving kids now in Larimer and Weld, so we changed it to Northern Colorado, and we provide short-term quality care for children with disabilities and respite to their families. And there's some cute pictures. So we were founded in 1981, and we started in a house on Wood and Cherry Street, which I drove by today. It was about 1,500 square feet. It was started by a group of 5 families that needed to find care for their own children and find some community. And then we moved to our current location 19 years ago, which is off of LeMay and Trilby. What we do, we provide specialized care for kids 0 to 18 years old. Right? She's so cute. We call them pebbles, rocks, and boulders because that's just, it's been that way forever. But the littles are pebbles, and then we have the rocks and the boulders. I think one of the biggest things people don't realize is how many medical needs that our children have. So right now we have 18 children that have feeding tubes. So our child care specialists have to be trained. We have med level 1, 2, and 3 trainings, which include the highest one is to give the G-tube feedings. But they're trained in medication, seizure management, and then behavior management. Our child care staffing ratio is 2 to 1, sometimes 3 to 1, depending. Depends on the child's needs and then their medical needs. One thing that is awesome is we provide overnight care for up to 2 weeks. Typically, it's every Friday and Saturday night we offer overnight care, and then if a parent wants to, we had a parent that used it when she was having surgery. We have parents that take their other children on a vacation that their child with a disability just does not want to go or cannot withstand. We do before and after school care. We have day camps. We did 10 weeks of day camp this year, and 2 weeks of that was in Weld. We see a need in Weld, so we're trying to help with that also. Wilderness camp, which is one of the best. It's up in Allens Park, and the kids, it's a group of middle school kids, 1-to-1 staff, and they get to do everything that a neurotypical child would get to do. And it's usually the first time that parents have ever left them with someone else other than maybe a family member. So that is really something to see. We carried at least 3, whether they were in wagons or in wheelchairs, we carry them up. So it's heartwarming. And then horse camp with Hearts and Horses, we collaborate with them. We raise money together, and we offer kids that opportunity too during the summer. And then we do field trips, therapy dogs, music therapy. We have over 850 volunteers. And as you see, there's the little dog. He's great. So that's what we do in a nutshell. The Immediate Needs Grant was implemented, of course, during COVID. Like I said, many are medically fragile, so cohorting was an absolute must. There was no way that kids or families would have trusted that they could be exposed to everything. So it resulted in having fewer children in the classroom and requiring additional staff, and just the expense. I wasn't there personally at that point. I was at Thompson School District. But so I know from the school side, as far as all of the cleaning expenses, like all of the extra staff we had to hire for cleaning and just to manage the cohorts. So the funding from Larimer County helped enable us to keep the kids safe and have them at respite care, since most of the kids were not in school during that time. We were fully funded, which was awesome. I think when I look back and read all of the notes and talked to staff about how the immediate needs grant supported us, we were able to do more. We were able to serve more families with smaller groups. We were shut down for, 4 weeks? But we were able to keep our staff. We only had one staff member leave during that entire time, which was awesome. And our staffing that's usually 2 to 3 was down to 1 to 1. So we definitely needed that money so that the kids that were not in school that could then come to us, so the parents could work and parents could just have a break. We also did supported distant learning for the kids that were like middle school, high school age. They did come to respite care, and we had pods set up. We finally got rid of those that were set up so everyone could work 1 to 1 within a space. Like I said, it took a lot more just sanitizing. And one of the big things I talked to the staff, her name's Maddie, and she manages all the child care folders, like on each child, all of their meds. So she spent a lot of her time and additional time just working with Larimer County to see who's sick and who was coming in and who had the exposure. So it took a lot more time away from her being on the floor. We also sent out surveys to families during that time to see what the impact was for them and how we supported them. So that's about our cohorting. We provided 2 4-hour blocks of care from 8 to noon and 1 to 5, and then there was cleaning in between. Just limited amount of children allowed during each block. And then they separated groups, and staff are permitted to work with only one group. So it cost extra, right? Like it had to be the same staff working with the same child the whole week. All right. A little bit just with pictures, and what we provide is peace of mind, as families have a resource in respite care that is difficult to find somewhere else. It's a community. It's not only a community for the families and kids, but it's a community for our donors. Enrichment, like I said, the kids get to do everything. So they're out on kayaks, they're climbing rocks. It's inspirational. Opportunity, just to give parents the time to work, spend time with their other children or loved ones. This lady in particular, that's her mom. And this was at a donor's house, and we went to her house for tea. And so the kids all dressed up, and we can't transport Nora because of her disability. So mom brought her, and mom dressed up, she dressed up. She always has makeup on, not makeup, but just little sparkles on her face, and her hair's so cute. Like I said, it's also a community for families. And this is one from a family that just aged out. This is from a single dad. And he says, "You have made all the last 12 summers of her life special in an irreplaceable way. As her dad, knowing she is safe, engaged, and happy is a joy and comfort. You have given her so much, given our whole family so much. I am forever grateful." And this dad is amazing. She goes to horse camp every year, and it's pretty cool. Here's our facts. Our budget is going to be $2.3 million this year. We have 854 volunteers that provided over 5,800 hours. We have around 68 staff members. A lot of the staff are from CSU, UNC, sometimes as far as CU. Because we have the medical aspect, a lot of therapists and even doctors, like people that are going to school to become doctors or PAs, they work there to get the hours they need to move forward. We provided over 169 nights of overnight care, and we have a sliding fee scale. So $3.50 an hour to $13 an hour, depending on a family's AMI. The average family pays about $5, and our cost of care is $33.50. So that is where the grants and donor comes in. That's where our fundraising. And how we make it all happen is from an amazing community. I had no idea that, I don't know, I didn't know until I took this position what an amazing community this is. So 74% comes from donors, 11% from grants and foundations, and then 15% is that program revenue. It does help. We get the Colorado Child Care Tax Credit, and that is very beneficial to us as far as raising money. And there's some last few pictures.
Well, Christy, thank you so much, and thanks for all the amazing, wonderful pictures, and just all the numbers. It's stunning the work that you do, and the peace of mind and support you give to families. It's just, I think it's immeasurable. So I have a few comments, but I'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Gonzalez, and we'll go to Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for being here, Christy. I'm glad we were able to help with the ARPA funds, the immediate need grant, and I'm sure you used it wisely and well. Appreciate the work of respite care. I do remember when you folks were on Wood and Cherry a long time ago. I do have a couple of questions. First of all, in one of the last slides, you mentioned the child care contribution tax credit.
Mm-hmm.
For the thousands of people that are listening and watching our administrative matters meeting, would you briefly explain what the child care contribution tax credit is?
So because we qualify for that tax credit, if a donor or a business gives respite care money up to $200,000 a year, you receive half of that as a credit to your Colorado state tax. So, for example, if you give $1,000 to respite care, I want to say it's $358 after federal and the Colorado state tax is taken out, is out of your pocket. So it makes a huge difference. It offsets some of their tax burden, and then it also supports respite care in the families.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a few more questions. My second question is, what is your understanding of the gap in services for providing child care for children with special needs?
There's a huge gap. I just spoke Saturday. We had an event for families, and I talked to one of the moms, and her daughter is 4 and had been kicked out basically of 7 different early childhood programs. She has autism, and she just can't function in that big of a setting. It's too loud. So she's driving from Wellington to bring her every day. So the need is there. That's why we were trying to move in, all the housing developments are along that I-25 corridor, so we're trying to reach more families. We are the only one of our kind that does this. There is not here in Larimer County. There is no one. You can have respite go into your home, that is provided, but they struggle to hire staff to go into your home. But we're one of the only early childhood licensed daycare programs that can accept children with disabilities. Now the schools can, right? Once they're in Head Start, or if they're in that programming, they can then go there.
How closely do you work with the Early Childhood Council of Larimer County, and do you have the wherewithal or the time to engage in policy work and informing the Department of Early Childhood why this is important? And sometimes it doesn't seem like it's the main focus of addressing our child care needs, and yet it's so important.
And one of the things I think that goes unspoken is it's not just early childhood for families that have kids with disabilities. You can't leave a 12-year-old at home during the summer like you could a neurotypical. So we are busting at the seams during school out days and throughout the summer. So that's a big one. But as far as, yes, Early Childhood Council, very involved, go to their meetings whenever I can. And then also, as far as policy, I would love to do that work. But again, I've been in this role 18 months. So I am, yeah.
May ask two more questions? Thanks. What are they? So in general, there are workforce issues for early childhood educators, child care folks. Um, do you have, what is the situation with finding qualified folks to educate and provide care for 0 to 5 year olds with special needs?
We have been very fortunate the past 18 months. We did increase our salary, not salaries, but hourly wages for staff, and we also increased salaries as they get the med training. But we right now are fully staffed, and we do offer a lot of incentives. Like if you're full time, your neurotypical child can also attend respite care, 0 to 5, so that keeps our full time staff in place. Because we offer where we can qualify for the hours needed for therapists that are going to school and doctors, that also brings us a lot of staff. And I think our culture there, I will say our culture at respite care and the community we provide, staff typically will stay at least through their college years, and we just had 5 stay. They decided not to go get jobs outside and stay with respite care. So it's definitely an issue, right? I mean, as far as teachers and early childhood, and I know like the money's coming in to pay for to pay for people to get that degree, but then once they get out, they can't get paid enough to live. So that's the catch.
My final question regarding the respite care that you do, which is also very important. Are you meeting the needs there? You don't have waiting lists or things like that.
We don't have a waiting list per se, but we can't provide all the hours that parents request.
Is that right?
So, especially like weekends. Our facility right now is 10,000 square feet. The basement is only usable by school-age children. So only that main level is used for our early childhood, which is our fastest growing
So how do we
group.
solve that problem?
Yes, we're looking at expanding.
Expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any open houses or events coming up or in the fall?
Always. We have the holiday ball. This is like the 41st year of the holiday ball.
Okay.
And that's
Thank you very
November
much.
18th. But yeah, if you want a tour, I would happily give you a tour. Meet some kids.
Thank you, Christy. Thanks.
Thank you, Christy. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. Such incredibly important work in our community. Thank you. And like you said, there's no one else doing this work. So you are tasked with a pretty big job of taking care of so many kids in our community. And then, so a hard job and a lot to do on a typical day. And then during COVID, of course, with cohorting and the cleaning and really worrying about kids that are really medically vulnerable. I mean, just, that's, it's just remarkable the work that you've done. So really appreciate you explaining kind of what you do and some of the great programs you offer kids. So it's not just childcare in the center. I mean, I love that you're going out and doing the wilderness things and it's, there's, these kids are getting a really full and enriching experience from you and your staff. And so I really appreciate that. I would love to come for a tour too. I feel like I may have had a tour, but it's been years. It's been years
so
for
I'll
sure.
I'll send you guys.
We'll look forward to that. But yeah, and thank you for sharing the pictures of the kiddos. So great. But just the help that you give to families, because this is caretaking is difficult and it's challenging. And so for people to have a space where they feel safe and they know their kids are safe and having a good time and great opportunities and is just I'm sure that's a godsend to those families who are really struggling. And so the statistic that you had on the bottom of one of the slides where 94% of people say that you lower their stress level, that's really important because raising a child is challenging on your best days, and a child that as you said is neurotypical and having some challenges around medical health and other things, Well, that just makes things all the more difficult. So thank you again for being here, and look forward to visiting your facility soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Christy, well done, and thank you for being here today. It's extraordinary, the work that your organization does, and it's so needed. And I kind of knew you were the only ones doing this work in Larimer County. You guys are really unsung heroes. A lot of people don't have you on their radar and don't understand maybe the crucial need for families. I think your mission statement or your tagline is embracing extraordinary kids and their families, and these are very extraordinary kids. And during the pandemic and COVID, these extraordinary kids needed, some extra care, and be able to provide the immediate needs grants just to support you in the work that you're doing by having those pods and the core holding system. And it required more staff and more resources, and we're very glad that we were able to support that with that immediate needs grant, because that's what we're here to celebrate, the work that you did with that, and it was outstanding. And then also to provide a safe environment for these vulnerable kids to be able to still, participate in school and learn, and for their families to have a safe place for their kids to be. I mean, I don't know if we can ever measure how important that was, and how this helped them go forward. I don't think we can measure it. It's just invaluable. So thank you to you and your organization, and to the tireless, dedicated efforts of your staff and these folks that chose to stay and not move on. That speaks very loudly about the culture and climate that you're fostering and leading at this organization. And to the long term of this organization, has been around for a while, as you showed with that picture. I'm really glad you shared that history, and it's something that I'm just thankful for the work that you do, and those supportive organizations and donors that keep your work going. It really does take the community and the village to do and to provide and support this kind of care and work, because it is important, and pretty much unsung heroes and people that may not realize the need that is there. So, especially for middle school and high school kids, I think this is really important that they were able to continue on and giving families that support during this time, so their learning can continue. And like you said, have a respite. I don't think for caregivers across the world and across the country, caregivers are just unsung heroes who don't get paid and just need a break. And then the other children in the family, I love the idea that, the respite gives a chance to let the other kids kind of go on a vacation or time just for not having those extra steps for bringing the other child along, but that child's still having a blast on their own little mini vacation, on their own separate vacation. So I'm sure the families feel heartened that they're going off and they can take a break, but their child is safe and having a blast and being well cared for and loved. And so I think it's easy to say my gratitude and my thanks, but it's just those words seem really inadequate to thank you for the work that you do, and I'm really glad we were able to support you with this grant.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I'll let Lorenda say a few things. We'll take a brief moment to take a quick photo, because we like to showcase this, and so hopefully people know a bit more about your organization as well. So Lorenda, did you want to add anything more to this?
Just briefly, I'll say, I'm reminded as we listen to these presentations how much nonprofits just make it work. You identify a need, you look for funding. In this case, one of the resources for you was the county ARPA funds, but you continue to do that every day. Seeing these pictures was really amazing to see the kids that you serve, and I know it's a benefit to the family. So thank you for just making it happen, and for continuing to talk about this service and the families that you help, and what you need. I think you're right. We need more space, more square footage, more. There's never going to be enough, and more would mean more families get served. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Chrissy and Josh, let's take a brief moment, and those members of the public, this is our last discussion item, but we'll take a brief moment to take a picture and celebrate the work of respite care. Thank you for being here today, Christy. And giving us a moment to briefly take a picture to celebrate the work of respite care and giving a report on the grant project that was funded by the Larimer County Immediate Needs Grant Program. So we are done now with our discussion portion of our Administrative Matters meeting. We'll move on to our County Manager update. Hello, Lorenda. Thanks for the work you do. I know you had a pretty busy week with budgets and things like that.
We continue to have budget meetings with our departments and offices, and I guess I'll keep it short. The one thing I'd like to highlight is Commissioner Kafalis and I attended a meeting with Poudre School District and the City of Fort Collins, and the topic was legislation and upcoming issues facing all three organizations. I think it was one of the richest conversations we've had about collaborating on these kind of issues. And so thank you to the Commissioner for chairing that meeting. We hosted that one. We rotate the hosting, and these meetings are getting more and more kind of meaty in their topics and more beneficial for everyone involved. So there's a lot of follow-up related to that, but it's good follow-up and it's a good collaboration in our community. That's all. I'll leave it with that today.
Great. Thank you, Lorenda. Any other questions from my colleagues for Lorenda? Okay. Commissioner Stevens. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Kafalis.
Just wanted to add on that meeting, Josh gave a presentation on Proposition HH, which is a good discussion, as the county manager indicated. There was also another agenda item was about the legislation passed into law last year or 2 years ago regarding websites and accessibility and some of the challenges that the school district and the City of Fort Collins are facing to comply with that particular legislation. The county, for lots of reasons, we're in a much better place with our website and related to accessibility issues.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we'll move on to, thanks for adding all the extra detail. Commissioner Stevens, would you like to share about your reports?
Yeah, just want to thank the residents of Larimer County. Had some opportunities to be out with folks both in Wrist Canyon for a listening session on last Tuesday night. We couldn't get into the school, so people were very good about being outside. And then obviously on Saturday we participated in the flood commemoration, and just the resiliency of the residents in our county and the way they help each other and the way that they are engaged with local government is just remarkable, and just want to lift up the residents of Larimer County this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you. I'll just, a couple of things we did together that was good. On Saturday, we also attended the Castrol Farms Natural Area grand opening, which is out on West Vine Drive, and it's a great opportunity for folks they put some trails in, and it's a working farm, the Poudre Valley Community Farms out there on West Vine. I was up in Summit County on Thursday and Friday, and on Friday was our rulemaking session for the State Board of Human Services, and we spent about 7 hours going through the meeting. We focused on the first reading of the rules related to licensing behavioral health entities, and we will continue that first reading discussion to our next meeting, October 6th. We would likely approve first reading and then have the second reading in November. The previous day we went up and the focus was on affordable housing, and it was interesting. We did a site visit to one of the hotels in Silverthorne that Summit County was able, this particular one, there are 4 of these kinds of projects. They call them adaptive reuse, but they're basically buying or leasing hotels and then converting the units to workforce housing. So that was very interesting, and I was going to share this with our Housing Stability Program Manager, but a good booklet if you all want to see it on some of the issues that they're facing in Summit County with housing. It's pretty intense. Our average rent for a 2-bedroom here is about $1,800. In Summit County, it's about $3,300. And so they have some serious issues with workforce housing. But in any event, that was really good. And also before we started rulemaking on Friday at 9 a.m., we had a work session, and it was human services related, but they spent a lot of time talking about food insecurity. I'll leave it at that. I think that's all. We had our Wellington community conversation on Thursday morning, and a lively discussion about 4-H, the fair and rodeo, and a variety of other topics that we'll follow up on. Oh, and I did attend the funeral service for Myrna Rodenberger on Thursday as well. That was at Timnath Presbyterian Church, and it was a nice gathering of folks. Many of you know that Myrna worked with the county or for the county 58 years, I believe, serving in various capacities, starting as a high schooler, if you can imagine that, but she's been a clerk and recorder, and she's been a county treasurer. So I'm really glad that I was able to go to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And so I appreciate you going to that funeral, and my condolences to Myrna's family and her colleagues. A lot of people know her a long time. Another employee that's retired this year, and I went to that retirement. I think Commissioner Stevens did as well. For Dana, remind me of Dana's last name. I forgot. I'm blanking it. But Dana in Community Corrections retired after 38 years of service to Larimer County, and just really enjoyed getting to see her and the photos they had. And I want to wish her well and enjoy that new grandbaby. So just wanted to say congratulations to her and thank you for her long time service to Larimer County. Last week I had some stakeholder meetings talking about forestry issues and biochar, and I appreciate staff kind of accompanying on some of those and having some expertise in the room as we had some of those great discussions. If there's possibly some legislation coming forward with that. I had a chance to sit with the new executive director of the health district, Leanne Jolan, and a really great conversation, and appreciate all the insights that she shared with me about where she came from. It actually ends up that where she came from, she's friends with some of our old friends from my college graduate days, so that was interesting to have that small world connection. And then she came and we did a tour on Thursday with Estes Park the board of Estes Park Hospital and some of their executive directors, and she came along with some women from the American Association of University Women, and we had a great tour. There's a lot of furniture in the building now before next week for the ribbon cutting, and so it's easy to sit down and not move as quickly through there, but it was a great chance and appreciate everyone's questions. So that was a really great opportunity to meet Leanne and have some great conversations. We had lots going on with HH and regional opioid calls and geothermal regulation, just lots of meetings last week about different topics, and so there's been a lot of learning as we're gearing up for the next legislative session. I did attend the Estes Park Highlands Festival on Friday, along with other administrative duties running around, but it was great to be up there with the community, and I met some folks that moved from Scotland to Estes Park like 26 years ago, and hearing their stories and talk about their watching Estes Park grow and evolve, and they were showing me around and encouraging me to try different things I haven't tried before, like fried lobster ravioli and things. But it was just a great chance for the opportunity for the community to celebrate, and it's a lot of fun for that festival. And so I really appreciate their warm welcome. As we all know, we had our Glen Haven commemoration for the 10-year event. I appreciate Congressman Joe Neguse, Senator Bennett, and Senator Hickenlooper who attended and shared their stories, and all the folks, all the first responder who attended, and the work that went into that, and the community sharing their stories and coming together. It was a full house, standing room only, and I felt very honored to be there. I want to thank Lori Hodges and her team who did an exemplary job organizing that event, bringing it together, inviting everyone, and I thought it was well done. And all the pictures she put on the walls and this timeline of the stories, she just really went above and beyond. And I know I heard from Mary Marsh and others who were there that just thought it was well stated, well done, and a lot of great messages, and just really felt very honored to be there. Before I did that, I attended the vets breakfast like I try to do in Loveland, still over 100 vets coming and having breakfast and supporting each other. It's just, to me, outstanding the work that they do. And then I went to Pastels on 5th, which is in Loveland, and I want to make sure folks know about that event. It is an organization that holds an art event in Loveland every year. It's kind of popular with folks to come and see because it's free. And this is to support alternatives to violence, as we know the need of another nonprofit in need in our community for victims of domestic violence. And you can sponsor a square. I'm one of those sponsors, but there's a lot of folks who sponsor the squares, and a lot of them are youth and older adults in our community that take chalk from the group that organizes that, and Philo supports it. There are a lot of nonprofits and groups that support this. And then they have all day to do their chalk art. And so I went there in the morning to kind of, see some of the younger artists, and you see the beginnings, and some are already way far ahead, and some are just making their little grid. But then you come back, and there's a group that I'm glad I do not have to judge this year, because that is almost impossible to do. But to see the work come to life and the detail and just the beauty, and there's all just hundreds of people walking around checking this out, and it's just really outstanding. And there's a wonderful, there's lots of pictures online, but you can still go down and see the remnants down there. I went by later that night to see the winners, and then I went the next day after the rainstorm. The colors are still just as vibrant, and there's still dozens of people walking up and down the sidewalk checking out the art. So I want to thank Vicki Bryant and all the volunteers who helped organize that event. It's just really a community event. There's lots of vendors and music, and it's a great opportunity. And it was really great. I appreciate the Natural Areas and Katie Donahue inviting us to the Kestrel Fields Open event. The partnership with the farmers and the community, and having that multimodal connection through that neighborhood for kids to walk to school and ride their bikes, and the connection with the farmers and the farming that's happening there. They had vegetables. I got to play and hold some baby goats, and the performances from the Irish elementary students was just outstanding, and I thought it was just astounded by how many people were there. It was just amazing, and I just want to say well done. And it's just the community come out and supporting that area, and supporting the students. It just was heartwarming, and I really it really thought it was well done. And then Fight the Stigma event, all three of us were there. I want to thank Dr. Derry Dubin and his wife Julie for the work that they did to make the videos, bring all the musicians, and have the opportunity to reinforce that message about fight the stigma, and that health is health, mental health is health, and that it's okay not to feel okay. And there was a lot of bands who probably donated a lot of their time to help promote this and to perform, and a lot of community members came out, and it was really a great message and a lot of fun. And but also we were really there to kind of drill in that message about fighting the stigma. It was just really exciting to have a full day and just see the community coming together and supporting each other, and just community members that give up their weekend time and support the community with nonprofits. It was really amazing. And one of those was Teddy's Hike that I last minute decided to do up at hiking in Sylvandale, which allows Community Kitchen, which is a nonprofit that feeds folks in Loveland. And they organized this hike. It was an idea of one of their former clients who's still housed and now has moved to another state and housed and is working in near family. But he felt like getting out in nature along the Devil's Backbone, and the way the Community Kitchen took care of him, he wanted to give back. So he organized this hike called Teddy's Hike. And so we were out there hiking, and I ran into the Heart J Center, and they said, "Commissioner, we see you. Come over here." And I wasn't planning to, but just to hike and go home. But it was interesting to see Sylvandale was partnering with CSU, and I didn't know this was a department, and that's what I wanted to share with my colleagues. But there was a large group of folks from 13 countries, including the country of Senegal, and it's a program through CSU for the protection of public lands, and it's a partnership with CSU and internationally with U.S. Forest Service and folks. And there was a large group of students who were there to learn about the partnerships, and I shared about our Heaven's Door across the highway, and boy, they were just excited and enthused with lots of questions. And I appreciate Laura Armstrong seeing me and pulling me over, because it was really great to learn something new about something that CSU is doing, and well done. And then thank you for all the 9/11 events. We got to participate yesterday, and excited to see the 9/11 Memorial at Spring Park groundbreaking. Look forward to visiting that in times to come. So with that, that's all I have to share, and thank you all for the work that you do. And we'll now move on to the last part of our agenda. We have legal matters today, though a decision is expected. So we will not be returning on air once we go into executive session. And so I will ask Commissioner Stevens to please read the motion to move us into executive session.
Yes, Madam Chair. I move that this board goes into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6-4024B, conferences with an attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice about ongoing oil and gas well, state-level collateral amounts, and plugging and abandoning request.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens, for that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you all for joining us today. As I said, no decision expected. We will not be returning. Have a great day.